Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome again to Workplace Conversations 12.0. It's a great privilege to be here with you all, and I'm excited that we have one more opportunity to share a thought tonight with you. I am hopeful that tonight we can add more value to you as we have done in the past 11 episodes. Uh, I'd like you to please tell us where you're joining from in the chat. If you look into the chat, just let us know where you're joining us from tonight. Let us know where you're joining us from. Your name and where you're joining us from. Thank you. Good evening, Doctor. Good evening, TSA. How are you? Can we know where you're joining us from? Lagos, Nigeria, Abuja, Nigeria. Let's be sure that we have people joining us tonight. Okay, are you there? Are you there? All right, Temitope, thank you for joining us from Lagos, Nigeria. Prince is joining from Lagos as well. Ebenezer is joining from Lagos. Thank you, Ebenezer, for joining. Ebenezer came to spy. Ebenezer came to spy because he's a speaker for Workplace Conversations 13.0. So you have come to spy, and it's good. It's good that you are doing this. Thank you for taking time to be here with us tonight. Okay, without much ado, just going to go right into it. Tonight's session is going to be a lot shorter than the regular 2 hours that we're having. Um, Maybe we'll do a 1 hour tonight or less, or I mean, but I'm not sure we'll hit that 2 hour mark. Let me thank you again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Workplace Conversations 12.0. I mean, it's been 12 months of having this. It's been 12 months having this sessions that we do every month, and we always talk about issues in the workplace. Today, let me just give you a rundown of what we've done in the course of the year. In February, we examined workload pressure and asked whether people are always working yet barely winning. And in the month of March, just last month, we further moved into economic meaning of work, where we interrogated pay, pressure, and fairness. Tonight, we're going to take that conversation a little further downward. We're going to take it back into something more foundational. And I'm glad that my panelists are here. And the reason that we're going to go foundational is because before people even struggle at work, they must first enter work. And increasingly, that entry point is where the breakdown is occurring. Some of us on this call have inherited colleagues that are not good enough. And I can tell you that the Nigeria's labor data gives us a very clear starting point. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, they did a labor force survey in Q1 of 2024. They said that unemployment in Nigeria stood at 5.3%. But that percentage does not fully capture the problem, in my opinion. It also says that over 10% of employed persons are underemployed. And that introduces a new concept of underemployment. Again, more that same data says more than 80% of employed Nigerians are self-employed, often outside structured and formal systems. So you realize that people are just doing one or two things for themselves just to keep body and soul together. Now, these means that many people are working, but not in stable, developmental, or productive enhancing environments. Now, if we have to layer that on employers' experience, for many of you here who are employers, across the workplace readiness assessment that we have done, we've done 4 rounds of workplace readiness assessments, and across employer feedbacks that we get, including our own engagement, it is consistent with the fact that a lot of graduates struggle with practical application of knowledge. People have gone to the schools to get the theory. People have gone to schools to acquire the knowledge. People have gone to the schools to go and acquire, call it best practice. But as the case is, many of them are not able to practice or apply what they know. There are many gaps in the workplace judgment and professional behavior. Many gaps in workplace judgment and professional behavior. Organizations are investing significant time in retraining people before value is even realized. And a number of us here are aware that the kind of training that people have to go through before they even have to go to the what we call developmental training is more like a remedial training to get the people to be on the level that you can even use their strategies. I also want to let you know that this is not unique to Nigeria. There are many studies by McGraw-Hill Education that have shown that whilst most graduates believe that they were ready for work, employers consistently rated them lower, especially in three areas: problem solving, critical thinking, and applied workplace capability. And so today and tonight, or should I say right now in this dispensation of our world, we are faced with a system contradiction. Graduates believe they are ready, employers say they are not. And that is not a coincidence, it's a system failure, a failure of preparation, a failure of transition, and a failure of alignment between education and work. And the result of that is what many young professionals experience. Today, expectation at graduation, disorientation at entry, disappointment in reality. And for us, we want to have a conversation that brings all of these things to clarity. What exactly does it take to move someone from learning to earning credibly and sustainably? Tonight, the theme of our conversation is on degrees, skills, and disappointment. How to fix the broken entry into work. And tonight's conversation is enriched by two great professionals who engage this issue from both individual growth and institutional systems perspective. It's my pleasure tonight to acknowledge, first of all, joining us all the way from, I don't know what they call Bayelsa, Sasha. I don't know what they call that Bayelsa state because I know Lagos is center of excellence. B, what do they call Bayelsa? Center of what are you guys? Center of the creek. Is this center of the creek they call you? I don't know. But I'm excited to have tonight
Please
join.
stop it.
I'm excited to have join us today.
Go ahead.
MIS and Benefit Officer of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, Bolore Fidi. Bolore Fidi is a member of the Chartered Institute of HR Management. Bolore operates within a structured public sector environment where call it people systems, workforce data, and employee benefits intersect. I mean, I've interacted with her a couple of times on the pressure of her work, and I know that her role provides a lot of visibility into how organizations either structure their workforce information, manage their employees' expectations, and interpret value, contribution, and progression. Bolere brings an important lens to this conversation tonight. She will bring about how do the systems absorb people, how do they structure them, how do they support talent once they enter into the workplace. Bolere, it's a great privilege to have you join us tonight. Thank you for joining. Okay, I guess she's there. Our second
Hi,
panelist,
thank you so much.
great.
So yes, we call Bielsa glory of all lands,
The glory of all lands.
just in case you want to know. Yeah.
You, you had to go
Can
find
you
it
hear
out,
me?
right? Yes, I can hear you. You had to go find it out. Okay, we can hear you. Thank you. All right, let me introduce our second panelist tonight. Our second panelist is Prince Uzoma Chukwemeka. Prince is um, Prince is an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, a purpose-driven professional who brings a lot of strong orientation towards growth and adaptability. In his own words, and I'm quoting him now, he believes that excellence comes from a blend of hard work, smart strategy, and God's grace. And that true mastery in life lies in the ability to just adapt, innovate, and align with evolving demands. Tonight, his perspective is particularly valuable in this conversation because he represents what I call the mindset dimension of readiness, how individuals position themselves, learn, and respond to the realities of work. So I'm here to get started, and I'm not just going to give them, I'm not going to give them a breathing space at all. And so, everyone joining us tonight, thank you for joining. And please fasten your seatbelts. We're going to be having a good time. And please, at the right time, ask your questions because you will enrich the conversation with your own insights and with the pricking questions, the leading questions that you throw at us tonight. I'll be joining them as well. So, if you're ready, Bolleri, I want to start with you. I want us to begin by identifying the problem very clearly. For you, from an organizational standpoint, right, what do you observe when young professionals enter structured work environments? What exactly do you see? What do you notice? Okay, I think Valerie just dropped off. By Elsa, the glory of all lands, what have you done to our panelists? All right, B, did you get my question?
Are you talking to me? Can you please repeat that?
I'll repeat the question. Okay, I was asking you, I said, from an organizational and systems perspective, what do you observe when young professionals enter structured work environments? We want to actually know what is actually broken. What do you observe when they join?
Okay. So first things first, we know that we have a lot of degrees now. So the degrees are no more the problem.
Mm,
Um, it's not even, will I say, lack of knowledge anymore, but it's more or less like a gap in the application. So, you have many young professionals, according to their CVs,
mm,
come into the organization. Strong academic backgrounds, great schools, but they now struggle to translate knowledge into practical work to deliver work-based outcomes.
mm,
Of course, you can be an excellent engineer, you can bag the best degrees, but when they come in, as easy as writing a concise professional email or
mm.
handling deadlines becomes a huge problem,
Right.
right? And I think this is because we don't teach all those in schools,
Mm,
right? It's something that you have to be in the work environment to actually know that. So we now know that just having a degree is not as important in the work environment as having practical knowledge, right?
right.
Another key issue we see is dependence. Most entry-level employees they will require like high-level supervision because they cannot deliver independently. And of course, from when they enter, it slows down a lot of productivity and it tends to put pressure on managers as well,
Mm,
right? It's like, for instance, let's use a chef for just for the example's sake. If a chef has to constantly stand beside one person to explain every single step repeatedly, service in a restaurant will be very, very slow. That is
right.
what is happening in the workforce here today. So for me, it's just those two things, the application and then the constant dependence on their supervisors. So for me, the core
Right.
issue here is that people are actually educated, but they are not fully prepared for the realities of a structured work environment.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, so I think that's what the issue is.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, B. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you so much. People are actually educated, but they're not prepared for the structured environment. You said that there are gaps in applying the knowledge that they have acquired, and there's a high level reliance on supervision, and that impact on productivity. Prince, I don't know if you're there, but they didn't show us our face, but I'm sure you should be able to. All right.
Yeah,
Let me.
yeah, yeah.
All right,
Um,
Prince, from your side, from the individual side, Ambulary ended by saying many people feel unprepared. Why do you think many people feel unprepared, even after formal education? Why are they unprepared?
okay. First of all, I want to thank you, Doctor, for this privilege of having this conversation with the great people in this space tonight.
Right.
Okay, so from the individual point of view, right? Um, what my co-panelist said, the last statement she made, said people are actually educated, but they are not prepared for the structured environment. So now, well, why are they not prepared? That is the question. We live in a world where more people than ever hold degrees. They have many people holding different degrees. But the fact there is that many of them, in spite of the fact that they have different degrees, they feel unprepared when stepping into the workplace. Um, the question there is education itself the problem? So
Mm.
since these guys now, okay, they have gone to acquire degrees, right? And they are not actually prepared for the workplace. So is education itself the problem? Um, and how can they approach it? Now, what we should understand is that degrees certify knowledge. That's what degree does. It certify knowledge. But
Right.
skills prove competence.
Mhm.
In the workplace, it is skill that prove competence. So now, diving into the question properly, we are going to look at um, over-reliance on theoretical learning, right? So that is one of the things, one of the things that make them feel unprepared. Over-reliance on theoretical learning. So universities often emphasize on abstract knowledge, but that is not what employers value. Employers value applied skills. So, example, a graduate of business administration, for instance, may know about models of leadership, right? Okay,
Mhm.
that's what you learned in school. But you have never led a project team. You have never led even your department, you have never led your department, you've never led even a small group of people, maybe in a fellowship or something. So you just know um, the theory, what models of leadership, but you have never applied them. So there was also because I had a little bit of science background. There's what we call theoretical yield and actual yield. So theoretical yield is normally on paper. So you do your maths, you put the elements together, you get the theoretical yield, the amount of substance that should be developed from um, conjoining other substances, right? You get it theoretical, okay, I'm supposed to get, for instance, 50 moles. That's what I'm supposed to get, 50 moles, theoretically. But you find out that when you are doing it in real life, the actual yield will not be 50 moles. It will now be, it's always very less than the theoretical yield. Somebody said that is I'm trying to quote um, Dr. The common sense guru. That's what they call him, the common sense guru. He said that no business plan goes as planned, though that is another symposium discussion. So if you are over reliant on theoretical learning, definitely you will not be prepared for the workplace. Another
Right.
reason is they have limited exposure to real work context. So you see, internship, apprenticeship, and project-based learning are often
Mhm.
optional
Right.
or poorly integrated in our school. Internship, apprenticeship, and project-based learning sometimes is optional. Sometimes even when it is integrated, it's integrated poorly, right? So you have people going for maybe serious or something for 6 months. Some of them go for 3 months. What do you learn in 3 months? Some people may not even get placement in that 3 months, right? Some of them may maybe have spend like 1 or 2 months at home and then finally get placement at the third month. They spend 2 or 3 weeks, they fill their logbook, they come back. Supervisor will just do some things, and they go on. So what real life experience have you gotten, right? So without this internship, apprenticeship, or project-based learning, graduates will lack the muscle memory of workplace dynamics. What are these muscle memory of workplace dynamics? We have deadlines, just like my co-panel was talking about deadlines, collaboration, right? We have collaboration, we have accountability. These are muscle memory of workplace dynamics. So you when they don't have this practical experience, right? They will not be able to understand what deadline is actually, even though they know it theoretically, right? They won't understand the impact, the effect of lack of collaboration, lack of meeting deadlines, and accountability, right? They won't know that. Now, number three we are looking at will be mindset gaps around responsibility and ownership. Mindset gap around responsibility and ownership. Formal education can foster a passive um, learn to pass exams. That is what that is the mentality people carry. Learn to pass.
La crème la peau. La crème la peau.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So you just learn to pass. Like, so after you pass, that is it. You can't even remember the next day. You can't even remember um, what you have learned, right? So that is what formal education normally foster. That's the mentality formal education foster, right? So, but workplace is different. workplace, workplace demands initiative,
Right.
right? It demands problem solving. You should be able to solve. In fact, your relevance is predicated on your ability to solve problems. That's the truth. So, and ownership of outcomes. That's what a workplace demands. So, qualities. These qualities now are not normally cultivated in the classroom. They are not
Right.
normally cultivated in the classroom, right? So, is that is the mindset gap around responsibility and
Right.
ownership. Um,
Right.
before doctor, before you go on, please let me just say this one. Lack of intentional preparation. That's another thing that makes these guys not feel important. You see, many students they drift through education without aligning their studies with career goals. So they just go through education. They are not aligning what they are studying with their career goal. So some of these career services they underutilize them. They don't develop themselves. There's no self-directed skill building services they employ, like all these digital literacy or networking. They don't employ them, so they neglect those things. So when
Right.
those things are neglected, you are not intentionally preparing for the workplace. You are just drifting through the educational system without aligning your study with career goals. So no work placement for you. I
Right.
think we'll just stop there for now.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm grateful, Prince, to you. You see from the individual perspective, Bolore sees what the problem is from the system's perspective. Bolore said it's about gaps in application, it's about reliance on the supervisor um, before they are mature enough to begin to do the work by themselves, and that in time, that in itself slows down work. You've also said that one of the challenges you find from that individual perspective is that people are over reliant on theory, what they know in school, the Y, the X, the Y, the X. It is what they told me I should do. And then they are not, I like the idea of internships, apprenticeships, and I think it's project based, you call it. They've not been doing it. And then the mindset thing. I also like the fact that people are not intentionally preparing because even if there are gaps in the universities and higher education systems, you should be able to say, this is the future that I know, this is where I see myself going to in the future, and I should be able to prepare for that future by myself. So what I hear both of you say is this. What we're seeing is there is a gap between knowledge and application. And that gap, Buliri, let me ask you, that gap, do you think that gap is, self-imposed? Because I want to know, why are organizations still struggling to absorb these guys effectively? If people have theoretically learned something, why is it that you guys in the corporate world, you are struggling to absorb the early career talent effectively? Why is there a struggle?
Um, so let's
Bolero,
start from the
your camera is on, but I'm not sure we can see you though.
yeah. So I realized when I turned it on, my network couldn't handle it,
Ah,
and it
okay.
went off. Yeah, that's what
All right.
happened.
Thank you. That's fine.
So
I'm
if you
sure.
notice, initially I went off and I had to change
Right.
my internet and come back here.
Thank you.
Um, so let's start from the beginning. When we hire um new talents, let me not let me just use the word. When organizations hire new talents, I think we're supposed to play a significant role in this challenge. And then I would see one of the biggest gaps that we have as I'll call it lack of structured onboarding.
Mm,
Um, we just expect the new hires to figure things out quickly. We, most of us have failed to provide a clear path for integration and learning for them, right? Just imagine you go to a new country, you rent a car, and you decide not to get a map. No matter how intelligent you are, you would get lost. It will take you a while to find yourself. Maybe you start asking questions along the way when you would have just gotten a map, right? That's what is happening in organizations, most organizations today. There's also the issue of unrealistic expectations, if I can use that word. Employers expect immediate productivity,
mm,
but early career talents, they typically need time, they need
mm,
guidance, and they need exposure to reach that level that you're expecting them to get to. I'll call myself a gym rat, but when I started going to the gym, I would see people lifting a lot of weights, but that was because they've been doing that for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? Nobody was expecting me to start on same level as they were, right? I could only admire them, but I had to start gradually. And I think that's what it is. You don't expect growth to just come. It comes with exposure, repetition, and support,
right.
right? And we're lacking that in some organizations. Another critical factor would be managerial capability. Not all managers, and I would say it again, not all managers are equipped to develop people.
Mm,
Some are strong technically,
mm,
but they may lack the skills to coach, to guide, and
right.
to build capacity in new
Right.
employees,
Mm,
right? You can be a great footballer, but you might not be a good coach. And that's
mm,
simply because coaching requires patience, communication, and the ability to develop others. And
right.
this same thing, it applies to the organization today. Most managers do not have these critical skills, right? So they have new hires under them and they are not seeing them as talents. They're seeing them as machines, if I can say that. And also, in addition, I would also say I think role expectations are not always clearly defined. You know, if you don't understand what success in an organization looks like, you would
Right.
struggle to deliver it, right? Because nobody is telling you what exactly they require of you. They just maybe dump a whole lot of things in front of you, and you typically do not know what to do with that kind of information because you're a new hire.
That's
Let's
right.
not forget the word new hire. Like you're new to the organization. So I'll just end by saying in many organizations, like we hire for potential, right? But sadly, we don't always create the structure needed to convert potential into performance.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Mm. Amazing. Amazing. I mean, I wish if this were a live audience in the physical room, I'm sure my audience will clap for you. And Tosin, I can see you. Are you clapping? Samuel, Samson, Kemi, Momodu, Marvelous, Joy, Ebenezer, Baba, Daniel. I think my panelists deserve an applause for those kind of insights they're sharing with us. On point, exactly. On point. Thank you, Tosin. Thank you. Um, um, I mean, Prince, we will be talking about why the system fails. You guys, both of you talked to us about the fact that it's a gap in application that's making it fail. But the system in itself, why is the system failing? And I want you to go into a deeper causation uh about on this because for you, Prince, where exactly does the system break down? You listed something earlier on. You talked about mindset, you talked about exposure, you talked about expectation. Even Bolere has talked about expectation. Where exactly does the breakdown begin? Because if we want to solve this problem of not being ready for the world of work and not being fit for the world of work, either for the employer or for the employee, we need to know where the problem starts from. So my question to you again is, where does this breakdown begin?
Okay, thank you, Doc. You see, um, sometimes let me just say, we often assume that the this breakdown happens at graduation. I'm speaking from the employee point of view. So we often assume that this breakdown happens at graduation, right? But in reality, that is not where it starts. It
Right,
starts earlier, long before the first job interview.
right,
You know? Okay. Now, number one is just as I've been mentioning before. Number one is early lack of career clarity, right? You see, many students they enter higher education without what will I call it now? A compass, without a compass or a clear vision of what they want to do, right? So I think my co-panelist mentioned something about compass, something like kind of vision or something like that. So
hmm,
they don't go with a clear vision of what they want to do. Um,
hmm,
it 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 leads to generic choices, generic choices,
right,
missed opportunities to tailor learning. Um, one thing that makes one employable at the long run
mm,
is when you are able to have a clear vision, then you'll be able to tailor your learning towards that lane. But it's
mm,
a problem in this case.
right,
Another problem is a weak sense of purpose. Now, there's a question there, right? You know, should universities now, because of these things that I just said now, be responsible for career clarity? Because of this thing I just said now, should they be responsible for career clarity, or is it the individual job, right? Eh, this is another symposium discussion. It may not be something we can explore today, but
right,
it's, it's something we need to look at. When we now say early lack of career clarity, the question is, should this university now be responsible for it, or is it the individual's job? But that would be
mm,
a discussion for another day, right? But that is a
right,
question we need to ask. Now, number two is delayed exposure to real work. Delayed exposure to real work, right? So practical experiences often come late in our
mm,
universities. So they start getting real life experiences in their final year. In our final year, that's when you start getting experiences. Final year, the final year internship, or your project,
mm,
right? By then, students have already formed habits of passive learning.
right,
Yes, by then they have already formed habit of passive learning, and um, the shock of the workplace realities feel overwhelming. So by the time many graduates face their first internship, they have already spent years in classroom, divorced from reality.
Mm.
Yes. So, I mentioned something earlier. I talked about there's what we call theoretical yield and actual yield. It's when you get to the field, now find out that business plan doesn't work as planned. Yeah,
All
when you
right.
get to the field, yeah. So,
Mm,
by the time many graduates face their first internship, they have already spent years in classroom, true,
mm,
divorced from reality, right? So it's
right.
just like training for marathon. You are training for a marathon, and you are reading about running. Training for a marathon, you are reading about running. You only discover the pain when you hit the road. You now understand what it means to have muscle pull and thereabout when you hit the road. So
Right.
that's what happens to us, right? So another one is misunderstanding of what work requires.
Mm,
Misunderstanding of what work requires. Many a times students may assume that good grades equal readiness. Don't It's not wrong to have good grades actually, but
mm,
good grades doesn't equal readiness. Somebody with
right.
a passive mindset will just pass the exam. It doesn't mean that he's ready for workplace. So, for instance, let me give an example of myself. I was employed by one of the most brilliant mind by name Stanley Okafor. Right?
Mm,
There was something he said to me one day, and I can't forget it. So he said that um, the major thing a person with a first class has proven to him is the ability to be consistent over a long period of time. That is
mm,
the
mm,
major thing a person with the first class has proven to him is the ability to be consistent over a long period of time. That is what he said. When he said that, I had a pause, but it stick to my memory till today. So for me to repeat it is still there. I think it's something over 3 years ago.
right.
So in reality, employers expect adaptability, right? They expect adaptability, communication, teamwork, resilience.
Mm, mm,
So these are not qualities that exams normally test.
right.
Exam just tests your ability to reproduce what the lecturer or what the textbook have said. Like it.
Right.
So this mismatch between academic achievement and workplace demand,
Mm,
it now fuels disappointment because it's no longer passive now. You're expected to work. You're expected to communicate fine. You're expected to build teamwork, be resilient. So
right.
it now fuels disappointment. True. Now you may even discover that the person with the lower grade in your organization may even be doing well than the person
Mm,
with higher grade.
mm, mm,
So
mm,
it's not
mm,
a grade issue now. So
right.
that is the misunderstanding many of the students have of what work requires. So work
Right.
doesn't actually require your ability to cram,
Mm,
though it's important. But your
see?
communication skill, your resilience, your teamwork, your adaptability to the workplace, those are the things
Right.
that work requires. Now, let me
Right.
let me drive it home a little bit, right? Work isn't
Mm,
just about knowledge. You see, it's not just about knowledge, it's about contribution. So
mm, mm,
employers don't ask, what do you know? They ask, what can you do?
right. Right.
And
Right. Right.
And when they ask you what can you do, they also go further. Some employers will also go further. We employ people, right? So, but that is them. But let me speak. I'm speaking from. So employers will also ask you, will you own the outcome? So what can you do? Will you own the outcome now? So the shift from theory to responsibility is where many people stumble.
Bring down. Right.
So the breakdown we, as just as the question you asked, the breakdown isn't just mindset or exposure or expectation. Yes. Mindset, yes. Exposure, yes. Expectation, yes. But it's not just the three. In fact, it is the collision of all the three. The collision of
Okay.
mindset, the collision of exposure and
Right.
expectation, three of them. So lack of clarity will breed delay, right? Delay will breed shock. Shock
Mm.
is normally shocking. And shock reveals the gap between what we thought work was and what it truly demands.
Right.
Example, using an engineer, let me just stop here, but using, I don't know why we
Right.
are using engineers in this conversation, but using an engineer
Right.
that have solved different maths in the classroom, know different formulas, right? When you now finally get to the field to practice, you now find out that so, I need this vehicle to move by 3 p.m. I have a meeting.
Mm.
It's not all your divide the x you're solving now. Make this vehicle move by 3, please.
That's
That
right.
that that is the case. So I'll stop here for now. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this conversation is getting me, even though I've done a bit of research in this area, I'm beginning to rethink a few things, and both of you have helped me to rethink it really. Um, Bodere talked about weak onboarding structures. The organizations say they bring the people in, but they're not able to make they're not able to integrate them very fast because the onboarding process is weak. And I know a number of us here on this call are employers, or you have responsibility for employing talent. And this possibly is one of the reasons you are also not getting the best of the talent that's come to you, because what you're doing is you don't have a structure that prepares the people to run through your system very well. And so when they are early career starters without experience, they begin to falter and to stumble on the things that they need to do. Prince, I like how you landed it to say that it's beyond mindset, it's beyond exposure, it's beyond expectation. All of these three matter. But for me, this is what I hear both of you say. This problem is not the students or the graduates' problem alone. It's their problem, but I think it's more systemic. How is the system designed? I mean, Prince, you talked to us about the fact that not many students have access to project-based work or internships until maybe their penultimate year in the university or maybe even last year. At the end of the day, by the time that person is coming out, there'll still be some shock because it's not ready. So I think it's a system design thing. A couple of courses in the uni or higher education, the OND system prepares you for the world of work. After 2 years, you go for a training. And that's what the OND does. But right now, it looks like even people with OND want to dump the OND and go for the bachelor's degree. And I believe that the guys who go through the OND pathway seem to be more exposed to the world of work and to the things that they have studied even before that time. So it's a system design problem. Let me see if I can set up a poll. I can release a poll for the audience. I have a poll on the screen. Let me be sure you can see my poll. Can you see it? Please confirm you can see the poll. Can anybody see my poll? Prince, can you see the poll? B, can you see it?
Yes, we can.
All right. Can you help me take the poll? Can you just help me respond to the question? Thank you, Tosi. Can you respond? Thank you, TSA. Can you respond to the poll? There are two questions there. There are two questions there. Please vote. Vote now. Panelists, you are also welcome to vote. This is where we want to hear the voice in the room. I cannot see anybody voting yet. How would you describe the transition from school to work? Transition from school to work. The votes have started to come in. The second question says, what would most improve your readiness for work? It's important to get these responses. I like what I'm seeing here. Okay. Okay. Thank you for voting. Thank you for making your thoughts known. Mm, mm. Okay. The first question is getting interesting. 3 different perspectives. But the second question, just 2 different perspectives. Can you please vote, please? Gentlemen and ladies, let's have you vote. Joshua, Grace, vote, please. Please vote. Let's have you vote. Make your voice heard. Marvelous, Kemi, Samson, Samuel. I'd like you to please vote now. Okay, you cannot see the result. I can see it. I can see it, and I can see those who have not voted as I'm calling names. Okay. Thank you for voting. Thank you. Question 1 is Momodu say you can't see the poll. If you are using your phone, maybe you just toggle to the right or left. You see the poll on the screen. Just swipe your phone to the right or left. You see the phone. You see the poll on the screen. Okay, I can take a few more. I can take a few more before I shut down. I can take a few more. Thank you for voting. Thank you. I'll want 1 or 2 more and then I'll close out. 1 or 2 more and then we can close it out. Okay, so let's leave it here. Here's the result. The first question, the very first question says, how would you describe the transition from school to work? The second says, what would most improve readiness for work? Please, I've ended the poll now, and let me see the results. Can you see your results? 50% of this audience say, how would you describe the transition from school to work? They said it's difficult but manageable. The rest of us have said smooth and structured, confusing and inconsistent, largely disappointing. As a way, there's a balance between those who think it's not difficult. They think it's difficult, but it's manageable. I think that's where the line is drawn for us tonight. On the second poll, you've said what will most improve readiness for work? We're tied. We're tied here. More practical exposure and stronger employer branding. More practical exposure and stronger employer branding. I think the assignment is for both things. The school system needs to help our students see more about the future of work and see more about the demands of what, like Prince mentioned. And then we need stronger employer onboarding, just like Bolere mentioned. We need the organizations to acknowledge the fact that some of these guys may be coming to join you and have not been exposed to so much work out there, and this may just help them. Okay, let's move on. Bolere, I'm coming back to you. I'm coming back to you, and the question here for me is, what must change? What do we have to change? Now we have seen where the gap is. We have seen how that is not a personal problem; it's a system problem. And you have been talking about it from the organization's perspective. My direct question to you is this: what must organizations do now differently to improve how people enter work? What do you think they should do differently?
Okay. Let me see how many points I can give you because I'm being very nice.
Right. That's
Yeah.
nice. Thank you for
Okay.
being nice.
So organizations need to become more intentional about how people enter and grow within the workplace. So of course, let's start again. Onboarding has to be structured. Onboarding should not be administrative, but it should be developmental, right?
Okay.
Yeah. New hires should have a clear understanding about their roles, the expectations, and how their work would eventually contribute to the organizational goal of where they found themselves. So let me give an instance. Let's think about how pilots are trained. Nobody would just hand over an aircraft manual and tell the pilot to figure it out, right? They are very, very intentional about them because of how critical they see their job. There's simulation training, supervised practice, continuous assessments, right? And of course, before they gradually expose them to responsibilities. That's how their training is. And I feel like that's how organizations presently should approach onboarding with the same kind of seriousness. Because when you do that gradually, you would definitely see results. Secondly, I would say they need to be somewhat of a defined capability development pathway, right? Learning shouldn't stop when you hire them. Learning should be embedded into the work experience through training, through feedback, and through real exposure. For instance, the first time I got my driver's license, I had not even gone to driving school. I just needed an identity card, right? And I got it.
Are you
And I
kidding me?
realized,
Are
I'm
you kidding me?
serious.
Right.
Exactly, right? And I realized, okay, I need to start driving. I went to driving school, but there was no car to practice at that time. So the driving school I went to was irrelevant. Do you get what I mean? So I had the driver's license, I'd gone to driving school, but I wasn't practicing. So that's what workplace competence is. You need to have consistent practice and experience to use everything that you've got to see real results, right? If you don't practice, if you don't have that experience, it's hands on deck with everything. So for me, that's what workplace competence. That's how workplace competence rather develops. Like that's how it develops with time. Thirdly, I talked about managers previously. So I would also say managers need to be empowered to lead people, not just to manage tasks, right? The tasks do not handle themselves. People would carry out these tasks. So managers need to be taught how to coach, how to mentor, how to give continuous feedback. Because if you give your manager if you give your manager something and he's not coming back to tell you, he should not always only tell you when it's bad. He needs to also tell you when it's good, right? So we need like a feedback system, both positive and negative. It needs to be embedded into our system because that's for me, that's how teams should operate. When you have a new hire, the hire should not always go home thinking, my manager is always criticizing me. Right. When you do something good, of course, give it like it should be given a thumbs up. I think that's why the coaching and the mentoring part is really, really important. I would also say organizations should allow for gradual transition into full productivity. It's not rocket science. It's not magic. You should give people the right support and time to grow. Of course, yes, we run companies because we want to make profits. But if you don't give them the right support and time to grow, we're all heading to the rocks, right? They are more likely to, they're more likely to perform sustainably when you give them time to learn, unlearn whatever knowledge they're coming with previously, and to actually understand what success in the organization is. For instance, if you plant a seed today, you cannot demand fruit tomorrow. No matter how you water it overnight, right? Growth requires nurturing, patience, and the right environment, and also the right people. So I would say ultimately, entry into work must be designed as a process, right? And not treated as a one-time event.
Process, keyword, process.
Yeah.
Thank you, Valerie. Thank you so much. I mean, I started to feel your energy, but that place that you say people are going, dead end. I'm not going with you. I mean, I'm not I'm not that employer that will go with you at all because I'm going to ensure I get all of these things that you're talking about, get it sorted. So there's a process, and I like that. Prince, let me come to you. And as we're trying to close tonight, that's conversation, what do you think the individual should do differently? As an individual now, I have seen my problem. What am I going to do differently? Over to you, Prince.
Okay. Um, as an individual now, what am I supposed to do differently?
Mhm.
Um, we should know that preparation isn't passive, right? It isn't passive. So proactive learning and exposure should be the first thing, right? Proactive learning and exposure. So um, when you talk about proactive learning and exposure, it means that you have to deliberately seek out for internship. You don't forget you are trying to break through the workplace, right? Into the
Mhm.
workplace. So you have to deliberately seek out for internship, side projects, volunteer. Uh, many people have broken through via volunteering.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm.
So you can do that or shadowing opportunities. So anything that simulates the real world before
Simulates.
the real world arrives, that's what you should do.
Mm,
Anything that simulates the real world before the real world arrives, that's what you should do. You volunteer, you seek out internship. They are not paying you, yes, you go and do it. You volunteer in NGOs, those things. So waiting for opportunity is actually a trap. You are just
mm,
sitting waiting for
mm,
opportunity, it's a trap.
mm.
There's no proactive learning, no exposure. You are trapping yourself. So
Chai.
creating those opportunities is what differentiates you. So waiting for opportunities is a trap. Creating them is the differentiator. So
Right,
you create them. That's what you should do differently. Um,
right, right.
the next is that you should understand that knowledge is only half of the equation. I was talking about, I said that you cannot just based on your theoretical knowledge and you come to the workplace and think that that is all that works. Skills is what the um, employers require, right? They ask you what can you do. Yeah, so it's not what do you know actually. So you have to build and apply skills. So knowledge is only half of the equation. The other half is practice. That is the other
Right,
half of the
right.
equation, practice.
Mm,
So what does it practice entail? It means turning your theory into competence. So
mm,
it is in practice that you gain competence.
mm,
And I don't know how someone can be competent without practice. No, you don't trust a man with only head knowledge.
mm,
Mm. You
mm,
don't trust a man with only head knowledge. If you cannot show me track record of your practice, your ups and down, or your only ups, because some people actually they are very good, they can just be excelling. But if you don't show me if you don't show me that track record, right,
right.
I won't trust you. That's the truth. Now,
Mm,
coding outside the classroom, managing a small project, all those things are part of the things I need to see, part of the things that employers want to see, right? All those running student small groups. Some of these student small group. Okay, what did you do? You were a leader of this. You were this. You were running this. You were running that. Yeah, those kind of stuff. So, these are crucibles where applied skills are forged.
mm, mm.
These managing small projects, managing small student groups, they are crucibles where applied skills are forged. So you have to build your skill. Now,
Right.
next one is taking ownership of readiness. I asked a question I, during my talk. I said it's another symposium discussion when I talked about should we leave it for the school, the school that will take responsibility or the individual. So you see, taking ownership of readiness. So employability isn't handed out with diploma. It's not your diploma that makes you employable, right?
Right,
It is
right.
owned. Yeah, it is owned. You have to, yeah, it is owned. it means that um, that means you have to ask, what skill am I missing?
Mm.
What skill am I missing? How do I close the gap?
Yeah, thank you.
Right? And you have to refuse to outsource responsibility for your future to professors or employers.
Right, right,
Right?
right.
So you have to refuse to outsource the responsibility for your future to professors or employers. So that question has a two-side responsibility, right? One
Mm.
for the school, one for the
Employer.
individual. Yes.
Right.
So now readiness is a personal responsibility. True, is not an institutional guarantee. So, for instance, now there is um, a graduate of business. So instead of waiting for a company to train you, you volunteer with an NGO. That's what you do.
Mm.
You volunteer with an
Mm.
NGO.
Right.
When you volunteer with an NGO, you learn how to manage budget. You
Mm.
learn how to you build digital marketing skills on your own
Right. Right.
by that volunteering, right? So by the time you go for your interview, by the time you go for your interview, you'll be somebody that have results,
Yes. Yeah.
proven results
Yeah.
on your
Yeah.
wallet, on your wallet.
That's right. That's right.
That is what ownership looks like. That is what um, ownership of readiness looks like. So
Right.
I will close with this. I will say this, right? Individuals must stop treating education as a ticket and start
Mm.
treating it as a toolkit.
Mm.
So you stop treating education as a ticket. Start treating it
Right.
as a toolkit. The degree
Mm.
can open door for you,
That's right.
but only proactive learning, applied skills, and ownership
Mm.
of readiness allows you to walk through it with confidence.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. There's a lot to unpack, and I think it's leaving us with a lot of responsibility. And totally, I'm just going to zoom in on all of these recommendations and see how we can tease out which ones we can almost immediately start to implement because I mean, some of the perspectives you've shared with us are great. So, entry into work must be intentional design. I think that was what Bolero was saying. You must intentionally design it. You cannot just assume it. You can't assume it. You can't do that at all. We're going to come towards the end, and I'm going to have you answer one more question. Uh, if we want to fix entry into work in Nigeria, we want to fix the entry point into work in Nigeria, what must we stop doing? And what must we start doing? Right? I want just one thing from you. Prince, let's start with you. Yeah, we've been talking to Bulleri, ahead of time. So let's start with you. She's in a city of global, what do they call that city again? In Bielsa. So
Okay.
yes, go ahead, sir.
Okay. What must we stop doing, and
What should we
what
start doing?
should we start doing? Right. So,
Yes.
speaking from the individual perspective,
Mm,
um, you have to stop. There was something I mentioned last. I said, stop outsourcing your readiness to professors and schools. You have
mm,
to own it.
mm, mm,
So you have to stop outsourcing that. Stop pushing the responsibility to the government. Stop pushing the responsibility to employers. Stop pushing the responsibility to your school. Then what must you
mm.
start doing? What you should start doing is to own it. How do you own it? You have a clear vision, you have a clear roadmap, you have a clear compass of your career path,
Right.
right? You have them, then you start tailoring your learning towards that career path. You stop um dumb scrolling. Now let me use dumb scrolling. You
That's
stop
right.
you stop picking
Yes.
knowledge that is irrelevant to your career path. Though it's good, it's not bad, but
Hmm.
without tailoring knowledge towards your career path, you won't actually succeed in
Right.
that career. So you have to stop pushing those responsibility out to the government, to the
Mm,
school, to the
mm,
employers. take ownership. Take ownership. Have a clear career path for yourself and tailor your learning towards it. I think
Right.
that is
Thank
what.
you. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. So it's like carry your cross. Nobody's coming to carry it for you. There's no Joseph of Arimathea coming to carry your cross for you, right, Prince? There's nobody coming to carry it for you. You face your
When you
problem
are not
yourself.
when you are not beating like Jesus Christ, who will come and carry your cross?
I hear you, and that's very clear. Bolere, what do you want to stop doing, and what do you want to start doing?
Okay. We need to be very honest with ourselves about what is actually not working.
Mm,
We need to
mm,
stop assuming that a degree automatically means someone is ready for work. It doesn't,
mm,
right? A
mm.
degree only shows that someone has learned, but work requires application, judgment, and adaptability. Please, owning what's it called? A recipe book does not make you a chef, right?
Mm-mm,
You have to
mm-mm.
cook, you have to get into the kitchen, you have to make mistakes, you have to adapt, and you have to consistently practice.
Right.
We also need to stop placing the responsibility entirely on individuals as if they can figure it out alone. The system itself, meaning education and organizations, they have a huge role to play, right? We have to design deliberate transition systems. For instance, let's take medical students. They do their their profession enables them to have internships and supervised clinical rotations before
Mm,
practicing independently. You see that practical transition model? I think so
mm.
many industries need to adopt that.
Right.
Do
Okay.
you get what I mean? They need to
Yes.
adopt that because, come on, if we can merge education and organizations together, we would actually leave transition classroom into work.
Right. Mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm, mm.
So I think if
Right.
we get that right, we won't just reduce disappointment, but we'll build a workforce that is capable, that is more confident and more productive. And I think that benefits everybody, if you ask me.
Right. It does. Actually, it does. Ah, great privilege tonight. I think it's clearer for me now. For me, and I listen to both of you. I listen very intensely because my career is that of a consultant, and when we as consultants try to solve a problem for an organization, we try to throw trainings on them and throw maybe some kind of counsel and thinking that that's what it is. But I hear you, Bodori, I hear you, Prince. It's been enriching for tonight. Let me find out if there's anyone in the audience that wants to ask a question. Um, I mean, for me, I would have loved to ask to know many more things, but I'm going to catch it up with you guys at the back end. But is anybody asking a question? What exactly is that thing that is unsure for you that you might want our panelists to answer? If there isn't, I'm happy to give them 1 more minute to let us know their general thoughts about getting ready for the world of work. Ladies first, after men. Prince, so you go. Ladies first, after men. So Prince, you go. A final comment from you, sir.
Um, my thoughts, right?
Yes, final thoughts, please.
Okay. Okay. So I would say that intentionality is important.
Yeah,
Intentionality, right? You see, Doc, I will just be. Let me be a little bit. Let me be very plain, right? Let me be very plain here.
right,
We have 70%, 50 to 70% of school leavers who do not break into work because starting from the onset, they were not clear on what they were even doing. They just want to acquire a certificate and come out and
right,
see if the market will favor them. So there was no intentionality in their work, in their
pursuits. Yeah.
pursuits. There was no intentionality. So you find it out now. Okay, for instance, you go to the bank. Uh, I'm sorry for using the bank, but I have to use the bank. Uh, check the people in customer service, people in teller. Ask them to what did they study? Doc, you see people that did philosophy, you see people that did
Mm, mm, mm.
nursing, you see people that a lady was talking to me and she said that she did biochemistry. I laughed. Where are you working? Compliance,
Mm.
right?
Chemistry
In a bank.
compliance.
So no intentionality. You just want to anywhere that
Yeah.
that is open, you just enter. So by the
Right.
time we start being intentional in our pursuit, right, you find the you find breaking into the workplace easy because you will now be equipped with every arsenal
Yeah.
needed for breaking into the workplace. You have your knowledge tailored to your career goals. You have you are proactive enough to acquire other skills that are needed and relevant to your career,
Right.
right? You volunteered in NGOs. That means you now have track record
Right.
your your work, of things you can achieve.
Right.
You participated in different teams. You led in different teams. So all those things sum up together to make you ready for the workplace.
Right.
So
Right. Thank you.
thank you very much, Doc.
Thank you very much. Valerie, what's your own final word on this matter? Is there hope for Nigeria?
Yes, of course, there is hope for Nigeria. I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity, right? I think for me, my biggest take home for this from this conversation is um for everybody to just stop pretending that a degree is automatically that someone is ready to work. I think the minute to accept that, we would, if we don't, so until we accept that, the circle will just keep going. We'll keep seeing frustrated employers and confused young professionals, right? So we need to understand what it is. It's like you throw somebody into a deep water because the person read a book on how to swim and you expect the person to actually swim. Come on. Knowledge without guidance is not, without guided practice, basically, is
Mhm.
never enough,
That's right.
right? I think the real fix, it has to be intentional. We have to design how people enter work, not just assume they'll figure it out.
Right.
Because for me, when entry into work is done right, everything improves. Performance improves,
Mm,
growth improves,
mm.
confidence improves, retention improves, and even job satisfaction improves. Right. And I feel like that's everything every employer organization is actually looking for. Like that's supposed to be the end goal.
Right.
Um, so let's just know that this is not just an individual issue. It is also not just an organizational issue. It is actually a system issue.
Right.
And if we want better outcomes, we have to start designing better systems.
Wow.
Yeah.
The employers have been given a charge, and I want to thank you, Valerie. That was very that was very direct. And if I don't know you at all, I mean, I would imagine that how is someone able to speak truth to power the way you have done? All right, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's conversation has left us with a very clear insight. The problem is not the willingness to work. The problem is the readiness to enter into work in a way that creates value, or like they both said, in a way that contributes. For me, I believe that if we do not fix entry into work, organizations will continue to struggle with capability. You keep assuming, and you keep training and training for capability or for competence development when you're supposed to be training them for readiness for another level. I know that if we don't fix this broken record thing, individuals will continue to struggle with direction because There'll be nobody to tell them this is what you're supposed to do, this is what you're supposed to not do, this is your limit, this is not your limit, and all of that. I think there's a responsibility there. I also think that if entry uh, into work is not solved, then the system will continue to reproduce disappointment. Just like Bodere mentioned, people will get disappointed, greatly, greatly disappointed. All right. So this is not about blame. And I think that's where we're landing it tonight. This is not about blame. It's about design. And I want to thank all our panelists for landing that for us. Can you help me applaud them, please, one more time? Help me applaud our panelists for what they've done. If you guys can show your face, let's take a screenshot. I mean, I'm just talking about my panelists now. Let me just take a screenshot of your video, of your picture. If you are able to. I mean, we've had a very good time talking. Thank you, Ebenezer. Thank you, Joy, for acknowledging them. Thank you. Are you able to turn on your cameras, my friends, my panelists? If you are able to, please just do so I can just take a picture with you. Bolire, your camera is not on. Okay, now it is on. Amazing. My people are here. Just just so that you look good, right? Just so that you look good, and so they can know I sat with very active people from the state of what is Bayelsa again? Glory land. The state of all glory.
It's glory of all lands.
Oh, glory of all lands, even the glory of
Yeah.
Lagos.
We're taking over.
Okay. Prince, have you heard that they want to take over from you in Lagos? Bayelsa wants to take over from you in Lagos. I hope they
I
can.
don't know what year that can be possible.
All right. So thank you very much, my panelists. Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to sincerely thank you for tonight. But before we close, right? Before we close, I just wanted to put a face to to everything. Before we close, I think one thing is clear. What we have examined this year so far is not a set of isolated issues. In February, we were talking about effort is rising, but work design is failing to convert into value. In March, we recognize that even when people work so hard, right, the economic meaning of that work is under strain. And tonight, we've gone back to show that many are not even entering work in a way that prepares them to succeed. And if we take all of these things together, what we talked about in February, March, and April, there is a system taken together. This is a system under pressure. We currently work in an environment, our work environment, our workplace, our work culture in this country, and maybe beyond. It's a system under pressure. And in every system, there is a point where all these realities converge in practice. And that point is the manager, like Bolire was trying to say. That point is the manager. It is the manager who interprets work. It is the manager who allocates effort. It is the manager that communicates fairness. It is the manager that ultimately determines whether capability grows or declines. That's the question. That's the gap I've seen in what both of you have told us tonight. And that's why next edition, our Workplace Conversations 13.0, that's going to be happening in May, in the month of May, it will focus on this topic. People leave managers and not jobs. People leave managers and not jobs. The manager capability question. Bolere, if you recall how you closed out, you told us that sometimes it's the capability of the manager, the gap in his capability that cannot help the guy to, quickly land into the job.
Yeah.
So I think we should go back. We will go back and we'll be back here next month to talk about people leaving managers and not jobs. We're going to talk about the manager's capability question. We will be joined by two professionals who engage this reality directly. I think one of them is on the call tonight. Ebenezer Akiemi is on the call tonight. Ebenezer, you want to say hello? Just unmute and just say hello. Just a hello will be very good. Just a hello from you will be very good. If you really came here to see. Right. Right.
Hi, hello. Good
All
evening,
right.
doctor.
Good evening, sir. We're
It's
hoping
good to
to
be
see.
here.
Yeah, we're hoping to see you next month to talk about how people leave managers and not their jobs. And then we're
All
going to
right.
be, yeah. Ebenezer is a
Well,
seasoned professional. He's coming with very deep experience in organizational effectiveness, talent development, and leadership practice. His work really engages directly with how managers translate expectation to results. He's a commercial manager of Rough and Tumble, So I mean, if you know Rough and Tumble, so he's a commercial manager for Rough and Tumble, and he'll be joining us next month. The second panelist for next month, where we talk about people leaving managers and not jobs, is Nedima Okeke. Nene, like I call her, Nene is an experienced HR professional. She currently works with an IT consulting firm. They deploy a lot of Oracle systems and all that. She's a culture champion. She's very big. She brings a very strong perspective on organizational culture, experience, and how leadership behavior shapes performance and retention. Both of them will come together next month to talk about how people leave managers and not jobs, and how we can solve that question of capability for managers. And I know that if we are going to make meaningful progress at all on everything that we have examined this year, particularly tonight, we must now ask a more direct question. And I think, Bolere, I took that off your lips. Are managers equipped for the responsibility they carry? Are the managers equipped for the responsibility they carry? You and I have talked a lot, B. You and I have talked a lot, and sometimes we realize that maybe our people are not ready yet. Maybe our people are not ready yet. I mean, and you counsel me a lot. You give me fresh perspectives. We banter together. It's the same for you. Are we sure our people are ready? Maybe by next week, next month, we'll have this conversation and we'll have something to draw from it. We look forward to continuing this conversation in the next edition. So let me say thank you to all of you. Thank you so much, Bodere. Thank you so much, Prince, for being with us. It's been a very lovely night. But somebody asked me, say, why are we always doing this at night on Sunday evenings? Why not during the week? And I said, when we do workplace conversations in the evenings of Sunday, is so that we can get the insight for work on Monday. Some of you are dreading work tomorrow, but forgive me. With these insights, please go and shine the light in your office tomorrow. No darkness for you. All right. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening and see you at work tomorrow.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
See
Thank you
you
so
at work
much.
Thank
tomorrow.
you.
See
Thank
you
you,
at work
everyone.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
See you at work tomorrow. Deji, thank you for joining. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Great,
Baba.
great, great. Bye.
Kristen Okerika, thank you so much for joining. Great. Thank you so much for joining. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good night, everybody.
Good night.